Good morning from Panhandle Outdoors, America's only daily outdoor TV show. Your source for fishing, hunting, and information for folks who enjoy the great outdoors. Now sit back, relax. It's Panhandle Outdoors.
Good morning, folks. Welcome to Panhandle Outdoors. I'm Winston Chester. Glad you're here this morning. Got a big show lined up, some special guests here in the studio. But first, let's take a look at our weather. Brought to us by Gulf Coast Air Conditioning, Drew Pollard, and a hard-working crew taking care of our everyday comfort needs. Get on up there. High today, 92. Heat index is over 100, so you're well aware of what's going on this time of year. It's seasonal. But now the low is going to be 77, and this is today. The air temperature is warmer than water temperature. Water temperature is right at 90 degrees, so it's 2 degrees warmer in the air. So if you jump back out of the water, you're going to be warm up a little bit. Take a look at our river readings brought to us by Panama City Coca-Cola. Good folks down there. The Apalachicola Bluntstown reading a 3.5 steady there at Bluntstown. The Choctawhatchee at Carabelle a 4.5. It bounced up a little bit from the rain we've received, so it should be in good shape for the weekend if you're making plans already. I'm hearing some really good reports from both river systems of some really nice catches. Also, what's biting, the mosquitoes and the yellowflies are biting well too. Our tide chart brought to us by Kent Forest Lawn. We talked about this yesterday, today, tomorrow, on into the weekend. We're about to hit some neap tides. Not a lot of tidal flow, but be aware there's still going to be a hole up in those holes, and we'll talk about it Friday on our fishing forecast. We're looking at the wind today, northwest at about 10. That's a little interesting at this time of year to have a northwest wind. Let's take a break. We'll come back with our special guest. Okay, welcome back, and we're going to welcome our guest this morning, Dr. John Smith on the end there, and Brittany Pace here in the middle. Two folks I'm just tickled to have on, so I always let you introduce yourself and tell our viewers about yourself. And John, you go first.
Great. Well, I was blessed to be born and raised in New England. I know that's apathy down here, but I had a dad who was very into fishing and hunting, and a mom who was a school teacher. And it really shaped me to have a love for the environment. And of course, growing up in the late 50s and 60s, you either want to be an astronaut or Jacques Cousteau. So I chose Jacques Cousteau and pursued a career in marine biology. I was really focused. Came to Florida State, get my doctorate in marine ecology. And instead of going into academia, I became an environmental consultant. Worked for a lot of governments and big companies, doing huge environmental studies. And about 8 years ago, I just noticed a lot of the people coming here really didn't know a lot of information about the marine environment. And so I started teaching a coastal ecology class. And out of that came interest from the school teachers and high school kids who came during the summer. A lot of interest. So I decided last year, started a nonprofit to take kids out to do marine science, Emerald and Forgotten Coast Adventures. And as God would have it, I ran into this young lady at a boat show at Pier Park. Hadn't seen her since she was a child in Tallahassee, and I'll let her kind of explain what path she took and how we've come back together to do this.
Wow, great background. Now, Brittany, tell us about you.
Well, I was born and raised in Tallahassee, and I grew up, my dad always had me in the outdoors. Always took me fishing, took me hunting in the woods, and so I just grew up always being around the water.
Tell the folks who your dad is.
My dad's Raymond Pace.
Okay, folks, Raymond Pace and his brother and I hunted way back when we were young, so this is what's so cool about it. Here she is. You know, we way back, our families hunted together and did outdoor stuff, and here she is today. So good morning, Raymond, but go ahead. I'm sorry I interrupted. Go ahead.
So I just grew up having a love for being outside, and it was always so fun. I went to all kinds of summer camps, and one of my experiences was the Saturday at the Sea program in St. Teresa, which was really cool, and that was my first hands-on marine science experience. And that was really neat. I had a science teacher have to sign off on that form, and got to do that, and it grew my passion. And I came home, I was like, this is what I want to do. And I just had more and more experiences hands-on working with a museum in Tallahassee, the Mary Brogan Museum. And then I went to college for it. So
Okay, so you graduated from McClay School
graduated from McClay.
and went to University of North Carolina, or where was it?
Yes, the University of North Carolina at Wilmington, and I got my undergrad in marine biology, and then I got my master's in environmental science. So, and I worked in the field just teaching kids. I've done tons of programs with thousands of students, just taking them into the field with marine science. So it's my passion.
Folks, I think you can see we have some qualified guests on this morning now. A lot of times they just have some fishermen come on, which is great, but now today we have some qualified guests who know what they're talking about as far as our environment, and our passion for it, how we try to take care of it and try to be conservationists. So now, we're at a point now where you got your background. So so tell us what you're doing now and what your goals are.
So the nonprofit was started last year mainly to take kids in local area schools out into the field to do marine science. And we wanted to make it that it was zero cost for the schools, because in today's economy, you're not going to take a field trip if your school's going to pay for it. So the whole goal is to work with foundations and donors to support the nonprofit to take school kids out. And my goal is there's about 70,000 students in the 7-county area between Walton County and Gulf County, Franklin County. And I'd love to see at least 10% a year get out in the field to do this. Anywhere from St. Joe Bay to the coastal dune lakes in Walton County.
Folks, this is our viewing area. I mean, it's a perfect fit right here. And we've talked and we've met and talked and had breakfast and all before we came put the show together. And I really wanted them to share this with you because this is good stuff. We're always talking about helping young people and enlightening them about what's going on. And I know just in a short time, relatively short time, you've been here, you've seen a lot of changes.
Oh. Drastic changes, yeah. I tell people when I went to grad school at 83, I was fortunate enough to work under Skip Livingston, who did the big baseline study in Apalachicola Bay. So we were always out sampling in the bay, but we also did seagrass bed surveys from Cedar Key all the way over.
Yeah.
And there was nothing in Walton Bay County, basically on the west end of Bay County and the eastern side of Walton County. There was nothing there for many, many years. It was beautiful.
Yeah. Okay, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be coming right back. All right, welcome back. This one I wish I had an hour-long show because we have so much to talk about. Sitting here with Brittany Pace and Dr. John Schmidt, and they have this passion. I mean, I've known her a long time, but I haven't seen her since forever. But when I sat down with John, I could see the passion in his eyes about the outdoors and all. So we want to share it. So now, let's. You do a lot of different things now. So you're talented. You're so talented. You do a lot of different things, right?
I do.
Okay.
I do. Right now, I'm working at Girls Inc., and I'm heavily involved in just trying to inspire them. I'm really involved in community stuff, serving in my church, and I've also just started a Salty Souls of the Emerald Coast project to get adults outdoors too. So
see, we're all on the same channel.
we do all kinds of things.
I know. Okay, so here, showing this picture here, this is your logo here, John.
Yes,
tell us
sir.
about it.
So the logo captures not just the name, but I think we're trying to capture the concept of what we're going to show the kids and what we're going to teach them. So it has the different animals that are common to this area. And really the slogan there is my heart. You know, you can't really teach conservation completely in the classroom. You can introduce it, you can give them the basics, but until they get their hands out there and they touch the fish and the critters that you find, it just lights them up. And we got some pictures that show some of the kids getting so excited to be out there.
What's cool is literally hands-on experience. And you're right about it, a kid getting excited about it. Okay, so let's see. Tell us about this one.
So this is at a coastal dune lake in Walton County.
That's beautiful.
And so one of the things we do is we take seine nets out, we capture what's in the coastal dune lake, and then we do the same thing in the Gulf of Mexico. And we tell the kids about estuaries and the differences in the environments and how there's different fish in both, but how those coastal dune lakes become a nursery for a lot of important fish. And just watching that boy's face right there, I mean,
Look at that.
that's just pure excitement. He got himself a fish and he's bringing it over to the touch tank. He was so excited that day.
I love his hat. With starfish and all.
Yep, and his sun shirt. He's taking care of himself.
Oh, that is cool. Okay.
And this is, I mean, this just really gets to the point where you can tell kids things, you know, you can explain the difference between an estuarine fish and a saltwater fish, but their eyes will glaze over until they can see the difference. And we have little tanks we put there, you can see them in there, and we put the fish in the tank and we let them look at it eye level and even pick up the fish. I mean, it really makes a big difference that they can now hear, and we let them ask questions all the time.
Oh yeah, and I bet they're full of questions.
They're just full of stuff.
All right.
I'm on the South Walton Turtle Watch board. I do sea turtle nest surveys in my spare time. So I got these posters from the Sea Turtle Conservancy. They're awesome posters. And we teach kids about sea turtle nesting and leaving the beaches clean, flat, and dark, and how important it is that they were here long before us. And the kids ask tons of questions about turtles. Everybody loves turtles.
You know, and getting back to all the things you've showed, you know, this, like you said, this is their home. Okay, that's their home.
Yep.
And we don't want to destroy it.
Right.
Because we know what happens when you throw it home. We lose them.
Right.
So the kids, well, they learn that love of that fish or that turtle, and then they want to take care of it at that young age. And that's why we're not getting a lot of that. So this is amazing. Okay, tell us about this picture.
I think that just says it all. I mean, here he is. This is, I think, wasn't his first experience?
I think so.
First experience with marine life, and he just wanted to touch every little fish that he saw, and he just thought that was the coolest thing.
I mean, that's the best part. That's like why we're so passionate. You just said you have to like understand. You have to understand what you're even looking at to be able to protect it. So by trying to give them immersive experiences in the environment, you're wanting to create better stewards.
Yeah.
In the future.
Simple as that.
Yep,
Yeah.
that's right.
And the more experience they have doing it, the better off they're going to learn.
That's right.
Absolutely.
It's simple. I just, I love the concept and what you're planning on doing here. So now, we're at this point now, you're just sort of getting started as far as the field trips and all. So tell us how this would work.
So since last year, I've been working with the school boards in Bay and Walton County. And one of the big things you have to do is design the trips and then the activities in the trips to tie them to the Florida standards. As you know, as a school board member, you have to be able to help the teacher tie it all together with their plan. So that was the work that was done this past 6 months. I had to raise money to get liability insurance, and we have to do background checks of everybody, all the volunteers. I've got a list already of people who want to help. So now the schools will start booking in August. We managed to kind of clear those hurdles. So I've been talking to different school teachers and getting them primed up, and I expect we'll see quite a few classes signed up for this school year. So.
Good deal. Brittany, will you be able to accompany any of those? Will you be at some of those events, you hope?
I certainly hope so.
I mean, we have some marine biologists, but you got to get out there and help out. Goodness gracious.
All the fish identification.
That's right.
That's cool. And you can open it up, you want to open it up to other districts?
Correct.
School
Yep.
districts.
Yep. So once we get going with Walton Bay, my goal is to add Gulf, because the seagrass beds in St. Joe Bay are some of the best around. So we got the permits from FDEP to go use the state parks. So we'll bring the schools there. And I have a right of entry permit in progress with Tyndall Air Force Base. So we'll be able to go to the seagrass beds as well as the Gulf of Mexico there. So that'll give us a lot of access points. We're not going to use boats at this time. It'll all be from shore.
Right.
But that gives us more room to spread out, you know. And
You
get
talking about that St. Joe Bay State Park area? I mean, you have so much room there.
Yep.
And wow, what a great location
It
to do
is,
that.
and it's some of the best grass beds around.
You got the bathrooms there? For
Yeah,
the
that's
kids?
right.
You
Got to make sure there's bathrooms.
You got everything. How cool is that? And what will this cost the school to do this?
So it'll cost them nothing.
Okay.
$0. And we made that very clear to all the schools. So the burden is on me to raise the money. And I've been talking to St. Joe Community Fund and to some other organizations locally, as well as some national organizations to raise the money. So that's starting to come in.
Wow. We always talk about good news on Panhandle Outdoors and good things. Is this not one of the good things we'd like to talk about? Let's take our final break and we'll be right back. Okay, welcome back. So here were two special guests this morning, Brittany Pace, marine biologist, and also Dr. John Smith has a doctoral degree in it, so we're pretty strong with our evidence when we present it this morning. First, let's take a look at our fishing game time brought to us by Blue Water Outriggers in Port St. Joe, 3:57 to 5:57 this afternoon, 4:17 to 6:17. Now, getting back to you mentioned real quick during the break, you love seeing kids in the water and play. That's just special.
It's just the coolest thing to see them interact, maybe for the first time. I worked with so many kids that it was the first time they've ever been to the beach or to the marsh. And it's just like, I mean, they just go all in, and I love it. And you see the little light bulb moments come on, and as a teacher, as an educator, you know that's the best part of the whole thing, is when things, when it clicks.
That's right, that's right. So John, tell us where we are now, what we need to do, and what's good.
So if people are interested to help us out, our website is just Emerald Forgotten Coast Adventures .org, and there's a support us button on there. If you open that up, you'll see that corporations can support us, businesses. We're looking to partner with local businesses to help send kids out in the field. It takes about $30 to get a kid out into the field, and so if businesses are interested, if private donors want to, we've had people contribute already. We had to get the liability insurance for the school districts, and that was not cheap. But we want to grow this program, like I said, to the point where there's about 70,000 students in the 7-county area. Would love to get 10% rotating through there, and that would include Washington, Calhoun, Jackson, Franklin, other counties that really don't have a lot of these opportunities.
Yeah.
And as Brittany said, taking these kids out sometimes for the first time is just so rewarding to watch their face and get them fired up about the environment.
Just getting out of school on a field trip is fun, but this is icing on a cake.
That's right.
And here's the logo here if you're looking up Emerald and Forgotten Coast
Adventures
right here. So we have that. Now let's talk as marine biologists and all. And you've done extensive work in the bay systems. What changes back in the 80s? What are some of the biggest changes you've seen?
Well, I think some of the biggest things I've seen, and Southwest Florida is a great example, where you start paving and putting in a lot of homes and businesses, and that changes the water flow in the watershed. And so if you look everywhere from Walton County through Bay County, over the time you can see there's been more and more impervious surface area added, so we get more runoff into the bays. I've worked in Australia, and I noticed along their whole southwest coast, and we're talking 600 miles, there's no development beach side of the highway. It's all inland. And they take their stormwater and inject it into the groundwater.
Wow.
So that the runoff is minimized into the environment. So I asked them, why would they do all that? So we watched what you did, and we're just doing something, do something better.
True.
So I'm not saying water quality is the only reason, but it does have a big effect.
Yeah, I can see the difference over the years and all.
Right.
What about St. Andrew Bay system? You see some of the same situation, and Shocklahomie Bay.
Yeah, and the environmental groups that are already working in these bays are collecting water quality data, which is being fed into others, the state and so forth. So there's a lot of people looking at it, but I think as a society, we can step back and look at what we've done and say, what can we do better? What can we do better to prevent even more degradation?
And I think the state saw in the St. Joe Bay system, and they bought the St. Joe Buffer Preserve, which is a great idea.
That is really wonderful.
And I wish all the bay systems would have done that, but I don't guess the developers are pretty strong. And I think now we know. We know what's going to happen. So,
that's right.
But it's interesting with the stormwater runoff is a big deal all over the place.
Well, the water quality affects your seagrass beds and your scallops. You were just mentioning like what scalloping used to be like years and years ago, and it's not the same, and it's a lot due to our water quality and runoff and the pollution that's getting into the system. So as an individual, we have to make those decisions to, you know, make better decisions for our environment, and hopefully that will spread out to business decisions, better for the environment.
And we talk about it all the time on here, you know, this kind of situations. And I know you could do a case study right there at Cargray Park, because the old timers used to get a tub full of scallops, and then you started building all around it, and there's no scallops there. And I've gone with people to try to put scallops in the grass, try to grow them.
Right, the scallop sitter project.
They all die. So that's a case point right here under our nose. So, so this coming from marine. What's your favorite part about marine biology? What was your, I mean, just being around it?
I mean, I think it's just such a fascinating thing, because I mean, it's like space for some people. Like, I mean, we haven't explored so much of the ocean, and there's always new discoveries. Like, it's not a stagnant thing. You're always discovering something new. There's always new things to learn. I mean, that's what I love about it, is that it's just a constant, you're learning all the time.
That's cool. And
Well, I was certified as a scuba diver when I was 13, and I've been blessed to have dive or dove in most of the oceans of the world.
Wow.
And for me to get underwater and exploring a new area, or just sitting in the water and watching the wildlife come by. Like in Puget Sound, you can sit in the kelp forest and look at all the different creatures, and then hear the killer whales that could be miles away.
That's gonna be cool.
It's just a great way to kind of get with the nature.
My family always told me I spent more time underwater than above water.
And you were friends with his kids in school, or what was it?
I went to school with his son, and he was in one or two grades under me. So
that's cool. That's cool. We got to get out of here. I told we're gonna run out of time.
Yes.
Thank y'all so much. It's great.
We appreciate it very much.
Thank you, folks. Thank y'all for watching the show. We appreciate your viewership. You do something good for someone today. Enjoy the outdoors. Take care of the outdoors, and God bless.
Thanks for watching America's only daily outdoor TV show, Panhandle Outdoors with Winston Chester, featuring hunting, fishing, and other activities and information to help you enjoy the great outdoors. Join us next time for Panhandle Outdoors.